Video 21, Part 20A of 25, Importance of the Identify Risks Process. The purpose of this video is to present the importance of the Identify Risks process and the problems that arise when it is conducted improperly. The Identify Risks process is the second process within the Project Risk Management knowledge area and is related to the Planning Process group. Like, subscribe to my channel, and share with others. Thank you. How important is the Identify Risks process in the PMBOK Planning Process group? In the PMBOK guide, the Identify Risks process is not just important. It is critically fundamental and indispensable within the Planning Process group. The primary importance of the Identify Risks process is that it shifts the project team from a reactive to a proactive stance. Without it, you are simply waiting for problems to happen and then scrambling to respond. With it, you are actively hunting for potential problems so you can prepare for them. Think of it this way. First, being reactive because you do not have a formal risk identification. The lead engineer just quit. What do we do now? Second, being proactive because you have a risk identification. We identified the risk that our lead engineer might get a competing offer. Our response plan includes cross-training a junior developer and having a retention bonus ready. Let's activate that plan. The key reasons for its critical importance in planning is now presented. 1. It feeds all other risk management processes. The Identify Risks process is the starting point for the entire project risk management knowledge area. You cannot analyze, plan responses for, or monitor risks that you haven't first identified. It is the source of the risk register, which becomes a key project document, as follows. First, you can't perform qualitative risk analysis on a blank sheet. Second, you can't perform quantitative risk analysis without knowing which risks are significant enough to model. Third, you can't plan risk responses for unknown threats or opportunities. 2. It directly informs and improves other planning processes. Risk identification is not done in a vacuum. It often reveals flaws or assumptions in other parts of the project plan, leading to crucial refinements, as follows. First, schedule. Identifying a risk of a long lead time for a critical component may force you to adjust the schedule and add a buffer. Second, cost. Identifying a risk of currency fluctuation may lead you to include a contingency reserve in the budget. Third, procurement. Identifying a risk of a single supplier going out of business may lead you to develop a list of pre-qualified alternative vendors. Fourth, scope. Identifying a risk of scope creep from a demanding stakeholder leads you to create a more robust change control process. 3. It uncovers both threats and opportunities. A common misconception is that risks are only negative. PMI defines a risk as an uncertain event that can have a positive or negative effect on project objectives, as follows. First, threats. The team identifies potential problems, such as vendor delay or technical failure, and plans mitigations. Second, opportunities. The team identifies potential positive events, such as a new technology becoming available sooner or a potential cost-saving method, and plans ways to exploit them. Missing an opportunity is just as detrimental as being hit by an unplanned threat. 4. It enhances stakeholder confidence and team morale. When stakeholders see that the project team has a structured process for thinking about what could go wrong, it builds tremendous confidence. It demonstrates professionalism, foresight, and control. For the team, it reduces anxiety because they know there is a plan for potential issues, making them feel more prepared and less like they are flying blind. 5. It is a foundational element of project success. Studies, including those by PMI's Pulse of the Profession, consistently show that mature risk management practices are a key differentiator between successful and failed projects. Projects that actively identify and manage risks are far more likely to meet their goals regarding scope, time, and budget. What are the problems if the Identify Risks process is not performed in the PMBOK planning process group as required? If the Identify Risks process is skipped or performed inadequately during the planning process group, the project is built on a foundation of ignorance and wishful thinking. The problems that arise are severe, systemic, and often lead to project failure. Here is a detailed breakdown of the specific problems that will occur. 1. Project performance and control problems. First, you are being reactive, not proactive, management. The project team shifts from being in control to being controlled by events. Instead of executing a plan, they are constantly firefighting. This is inefficient, stressful, and demoralizing for the team. Second, you encounter frequent and serious surprises. The project is exposed to unknown unknowns that should have been known unknowns. A surprise that could have been anticipated is a management failure, not just bad luck. These surprises cause schedule delays, cost overruns, and scope compromises. Third, you have inaccurate baselines. The project's scope, schedule, and cost baselines are created based on incomplete information. They do not account for potential disruptive events, making them unrealistic and unachievable from the start. Fourth, you are making ineffective use of contingency reserves. Without identified risks, any contingency budget or schedule buffer is a blind guess. It will likely be too large. Because you are wasting organizational resources based on fear, not analysis, or too small, because you are not adequately addressing the issues that inevitably arise, leading to a need for emergency funding and missed deadlines. 2. Financial and schedule consequences. First, cost overruns. Unidentified risks materialize and require unplanned spending to address. This often means exceeding the budget and requiring embarrassing requests for additional funds. Second, schedule delays. Risks like vendor delays, technical rework, or resource unavailability will directly impact the critical path, causing missed milestones and final delivery dates. Third, scope creep and rework. Without identifying the risk of unclear requirements or stakeholder misalignment, scope creep becomes inevitable. Furthermore, technical risks not identified early often lead to significant and costly rework later in the project lifecycle. 3. Stakeholder and reputational damage. First, eroded stakeholder confidence. When surprises happen, stakeholders, including sponsors and clients, lose faith in the project manager and the team's ability to deliver. They begin to question the competence of the leadership. Second, damaged credibility. The project manager's credibility is severely damaged. It becomes very difficult to regain trust once it is lost due to preventable crises. Third, increased conflict. Constant surprises lead to blame games and defensive behavior within the team and with stakeholders, creating a toxic project environment. 4. Strategic and opportunity costs. First, missed opportunities. Remember, risks include both threats and opportunities. By not identifying risks, the team also fails to spot potential positive events that could benefit the project, such as a chance to finish early, under budget, or with enhanced functionality. This leaves value on the table. Second, poor decision-making. Key decisions are made without understanding the full landscape of uncertainty. For example, choosing a vendor based only on initial cost, without considering the risk of their reliability, can be a catastrophic decision. Third, inability to prioritize. The team has no objective basis for deciding where to focus their monitoring efforts. They end up worrying about everything or, worse, the wrong things, while a major threat goes unnoticed. In conclusion, in the PMBOK framework, the identify risks process is not an optional, minor step in planning. It is a core, integrative process that connects to and strengthens nearly every other aspect of the project plan. It is the essential first investment in building a resilient project that can withstand uncertainty and capitalize on unexpected advantages. A project plan without a thoroughly identified set of risks is an incomplete and vulnerable plan. On the other hand, skipping the identify risks process is not merely omitting a step in a methodology. It is willfully choosing to be blindfolded while driving a complex project. It transforms foreseeable challenges into catastrophic surprises and guarantees that the project team will be managing by crisis, not by plan. The time and resources saved by not doing it are invariably dwarfed by the costs incurred later when the unidentified risks inevitably materialize. If the identify risks process is treated as a mere checkbox exercise or skipped altogether, the project is exposed to: first, constant firefighting. The team is always in crisis mode, responding to surprises. Second, blown budgets and schedules. Unforeseen issues require unplanned work and expenses, consuming contingency funds rapidly. Third, poor quality. Rushed responses to problems often lead to cutting corners and quality compromises. Fourth, strained stakeholder relationships. Frequent surprises erode trust and can lead to conflict. Fifth, project failure. A single unidentified major risk can be enough to derail a project completely. This video is finished, but we will have in the next videos: 1. Creation of WBS for different projects using WBS Schedule Pro. 2. Examples of project plans using MS Project. And many more videos. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you like this video and want us to continue with new topics. Subscribe to the channel. All content is free. You can also comment suggesting topics you would like to see on this channel. Thank you.